Welcome to Shays Insights. We're so glad everyone's here. And without further ado, I think we're just going to go ahead and begin. And have some thoughts, but I can wait a little bit. So, wow, how's everybody doing? I'm hoping you have audio, Paula. So, all right. You know what we're going to do? A little bit different. Again, I've gone from top to bottom, bottom to top on my screen. I'm going to kind of start somewhere else. I'm going to start with you, Lisa, unless you want to wait. I'd love to hear what's happening with you, and I'm sure it's a lot. So.
Well, hello everyone. How did I know you were gonna call me first, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know. They said ask you first, so that's how you started out first.
Too funny. A lot of energy stuff. I'm not sleeping real well, just getting minimal, maybe 4 hours, maybe five. Lots of heat in my body, um, which is super annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and just been really busy with, getting ready for shows and um, still kind of still kind of trying to work out this thing about this other business.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the main thing I wanted to ask you about tonight.
Okay.
I actually found out um that my neighbor, she's not going to move now. That she actually has to wait another maybe a year and a half to 2 years
Mm-hmm.
before she can move because her ex-husband isn't going to move up to Spokane, so now she's not going to, um because they have shared custody with the
Okay.
boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she still wants to kind of move forward with this, but the more I'm seeing things and um I don't know how that, I don't think it will work out just because of how busy her life is, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she realizes it fully yet. Like, she realizes that I've been doing most of the work, and I don't want to continue that and not get paid for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, do you have more to share? Because I had it's been the answer you have. The answer's coming in, so it's it's what you already know. Your intuition is very accurate, and that's what we've been talking about. It was going to be problematic splitting her off from her, and that is, well, before it was the higher good, but now that things have evolved some more, um, I think working with her would be problematic. And actually, as things go on and she understands what's involved and the energy and the emotion and the focus and how it detracts from other things that she deems as being important, I don't know that it would be a functional relationship to work together. There is a possibility that you can still split it off and just keep it, but you're going to have to talk with her all the time, each time. And my sense is, as you talk to her, on the surface, it may seem like, you've got some sort of agreement or something that's going to work, but the reality of it is far different. That's what it looks like. That you're ending up, although, we're going to share things and whatever else, it's at best 60-40, probably 70 or 80, 30 or 20 on her part. So at best. So this is still a viable, um, I call it the product. The product is viable. The universe sees it as very much something that you could very well do. But weaving, we talked about last time, and I think I said threading the needle, and that's really what this is. Trying to thread the needle with her is going to be the greatest challenge, and that's not a news bulletin to you, but I'm going to confirm it for you that your intuition is very accurate, and you can try working with her, and then if take notes on what's going on, and if things don't work out, you can address them. And at that point, maybe it can come to a resolution where you can do your things independent, and you can still do some things together if she wants. That way you're free to do what you want on your own and work with her My thought, if it could get to that point, as things stand right now, the snapshot in time, um, she will eventually lose interest and move on. Other things are going to come are coming up in her life, um, that are going to take, and she's going to get diverted into those things. Those are going to take her attention. That's a better way of saying it. So, have I answered your question, or if you have more, we can get more. There's a lot of detail in this, and some of it's fuzzy at this point because of her.
Mm.
I'm just,
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at, it's if you're doing a partnership, there's a lot of communication that has to be happening all the time to, because there's always all these decisions, whether they're big decisions or little decisions, there's all these decisions that constantly have to be made when you're getting something going. Now,
absolutely.
once you've got it up and running, it's different, but like we go, like I just finally talked to her today because I reached out to her today and she was like, "Oh, I was going to reach out to you," but the the school had a big infestation of lice last week.
hmm
So a week passed and I didn't hear from her at all. And so that's the pattern. It's like, well, we can't just talk like every great once in a while because nothing's ever going to get accomplished. And I don't know if I don't feel comfortable, um, going through all the process of doing this business, like financially, um, all the forms, all the registration, all of that stuff that you have to do if she's gonna fall out down the road, because then it's harder to like separate and all that up legally, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Deborah and I were married, and we have a partnership agreement for Shays Holistics, just to keep all the I's dotted and T's crossed, um, and it really helped made us think into the details that you're talking about that have to be addressed up front. It really made us do that, and once we did it, we still said, "Yep, this is how we want to do it. Not a corporation, not a LLC, anything else." And anyway, here's what's coming in very clearly for you. First thing I would say is things are fuzzy on her end, and they have been from the beginning. Um, she has wishful. This is going to go back to our first and second last conversations. It's going to right now. She wants to do the business in her heart. I think she genuinely would like to do that, but she is unwilling. It's more wishful thinking than actual commitment. In fact, there's not a lot of commitment at all. And again, you already know that. And I don't like to. One never knows what another person's going to do. I've learned that many times over. But as it stands right now, the snapshot in time, I don't. It doesn't look like she is anytime soon going to let things go so that she can have the commitment and the time and the focus to do this together as a partnership. Now, the universe is saying to me that the business can still be viable, but again, this goes back to the earlier statements about threading the needle, somehow getting it to where you can move things forward, take notes, bring things to her attention, although that doesn't have a lot of utility because she doesn't really take it on board to process it, to do anything with the information. Even when you say, hey, I need to be more here, and it just doesn't happen. But if you could somehow separate it out, and that's been the problem from the very beginning. That's what your higher guidance said, and the universe clearly said that's going to be the unwinding this so you can go do it and keeping her out of it. When she was still going to move, that might have been possible. It just would have become overcome by events to a great degree because she would have gotten diverted when she gets to Spokane. But as it stands right now, that's where she's at. When I sense from her an unwillingness to let go of all these things, because these are all things that she has these number of things that she wants to address in her life. When you try to do everything, you can get nothing done. That's where she's at.
Mm.
Yeah, she's getting, I won't say nothing, but she's not moving the ball forward very much on any of these fronts. And is clearly not willing to let the other things go to be the focus. She would want it to be, she wishes it to be, but it looks to me, and this is my judgment, this isn't from them, but this is just tuning into her. She's unwilling to do it at this point. The only, again, I'm repeating myself, but just for clarity, if somehow you can thread the needle so that you can keep moving it forward with the understanding you can do your part, maybe I'm just throwing this out as an idea, and you can do some things together. Eventually what's going to happen is it's a good possibility she would just let it fall away. Unless you start booming in the business, then she would want to interject herself back in. So that's the uncoupling. It has always
Hey,
been.
have a good dinner, honey. It's
Okay.
okay.
If you can just uncouple it, that's the big question, and that's been the question from the beginning. So, long story short, your intuition is very accurate. And I guess the question you have to ask, is this something you want to pursue or just let it drop? Is this something you want to pursue on the possibility that you can somehow uncouple it later? My thought is, my sense with you right now is no. And that's probably not. Although, again, it's a very viable thing. I am really getting that clearly from the universe. Very viable.
Well, I'm doing really well on my own when I go and I sell the product. Like I don't have any issue with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the whole thing. I'm the only one that's selling the product and really getting this all going.
Absolutely.
You know, she's making the product and, you know, that's about it. And there's so much more that you have to do, all the promoting, you know, and so that's my frustration. And I feel like that's going to continue. And she realizes I'm doing most of the work.
Yes, she does.
And
Yes.
I told her, I said, we need to sit down and talk about a percentage. And we still haven't done that. And there's no business agreement. She wants to pursue the online thing, and she wants to put it on her Etsy account that she already has, and I don't feel good about that.
And I wouldn't either.
Again, if she drops out, that's her account, you know,
Yes,
versus
or if it goes where it becomes something that she pursues more fully, and just suddenly you drop out. Yeah. So, yes, and what the only thing I can share is somehow, if you think about it and what your guidance is, to somehow I'm using the word thread the needle to somehow get it so that you can acknowledge these things and just set a deadline and say, hey, we need to have, whatever it's going to be. Can I do it by myself or this? She's going to be unlikely to want to do that. And what I sense about her too is that if things really were going gangbusters for you and whatever else, and somehow if you were already doing it more and more and getting more of the profits, she would want to interject herself back in. We got that from the very beginning, and I can still confirm that that's true now. So it's a matter of, do you want to continue doing it? I think you want to continue doing it. You just don't want to have her involved, and I don't know how to uncouple that.
yeah, I don't either. I feel very stuck.
Yeah, other than just the communication, and do one of the things that there's an old saying, and Grace Hopper, Admiral Hopper, one who invented COBOL, the programming language way back in the 60s. She always said, it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. And that's how she operated, trust me, in the Navy, that she used to wind them up in the Pentagon, because she'd just start doing something and they didn't know about it until, well, too late. She's already got it going. And I don't know if somehow that just came through to mention that to you, to say, propose something, go start moving forward, this is what I'm going to do, and somehow may put the ball back in her court to where she's got to answer, or you realize there's no reasonable answer at this point, this is not a workable relationship, and then maybe you can choose to end it if you wish, or pursue it in some other way if that's possible. That's I wish I had more, but that's what came through again from the very beginning was just, it was like uncoupling this thing, this wonderful thing you have here, from her.
Well, thank
So
you, Jeff.
I wish I had more for you, but that's what I have now. I'll see what more comes through, and we can, if it does, I'll shoot an email. We can talk.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. And boy, oh boy, I truly feel for you because I've seen this thing time and time again. I've even had it in my own life, and sometimes it's worked out, but often it has not. And I know, it's not for a lack of effort on your part and integrity on your part. It's just her fuzziness, her wishful thinking and unwillingness to really look hard, not only at this in her life, but I will share with other things in her life. She has the lens blurred on many things. So she chooses to keep it that way because it allows things to pretend that they're moving forward when in fact they're not. So.
Yeah. Lisa, when you
Please.
first asked your question, instantly the energetics of it, just almost verbatim of what Jeff said, I felt come through, and my thought was almost to the word of what Jeff said, that energetically she would drain you, just absolutely drain you. But it does have a really positive on the other side of it going forward, possibly with someone different or something different. But when Jeff brought that one up, then the energetics of the whole impression I received went right straight up. So like Jeff said, you've got the right intent with what you're thinking.
And
Thank you, Paula.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, boy. And what I'm just getting from someone, and it's one of your guides, but they're definitely keeping themselves anonymous, is, just keep it, I guess they say, people say prayerfully consider it, but just sit and contemplate it, be open and see where things guide. And then when you think you know what you need to do, then I know you'll follow through with what your guidance is. So, all right. Is there anything?
I have.
Go ahead, please.
I was going to say. So Lisa, you might just give her a time frame and go.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get something in place in the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'm just going to go forward myself because I have to do this. I have to make a living, and so we need to have this going, or else you're out. And maybe say it nicer, but you have to give her because obviously she's not going to step up, and that might be your out.
And so that would, I don't want to move forward with building something on Etsy because that would involve having to get business licenses and all of that. That's the problem.
Well, right. But I mean, you have to, like, if you want to get her out, I'm just thinking, like, give her a time frame. And if she doesn't meet that time frame anyways, you won't have to, like, address any of that other stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. And that's a good point. And that's where it ties to the Grace Hopper thing, where she just said, she wasn't going to wait for I will just tell you that, a lot of non-decision making in the Pentagon. It's just like any big organization. And she wanted to get things done. So she just moved forward, set deadlines, as Jessica said, and uncoupled herself from people that in situations, and just moved forward. She actually took some grief over it in her life, but ultimately it worked out. But as Jessica said, when you set a deadline like that, the one thing I love about deadlines is you find out how serious someone is. And if at the reasonable length of a deadline, they say, oh, I just can't do it, or you keep getting, this, that, or the other thing as an excuse, you know where they stand, and then you can really know what you want to do. So, but I don't want to say this can't work. I just want to say right now, boy, oh boy, I think that you just give it to your higher guidance and see what comes through. So, all right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else, Lisa? I know that's probably a huge thing right there. I do have something to share for you from your guides, and right up front, and they just reminded me that I hadn't told you, had shared it. Boy, you're talking about all this energy. It's true, and you have, oh my goodness. I usually see 1 or 2 guides working with you actively at once. You now have 6 or 7, 5 to 7. Well, I'm going to say at any time 5 up to 7 working with you, and they're really helping you with all kinds of different facets of your being, and expand your awareness, expanding out into the extent of extending out within your being, the parts that you are not yet explored, let's call it that, as well as creation. So you have that has been going on, and it was last time, and it's even more so this time, and it shifted a bit. They've moved to focus on certain areas, and some of those energies tie to what you do with your work. So you know. And let me see if there's anything else. Master Audience speaking. He says there's a lot more and there's more coming, but he doesn't want to talk about it now. We'll talk about it, I think, next time. Or in between if we end up having an email or a conversation. But you've got some pretty, I think, exciting things happening growth-wise and expansion-wise. And a lot of it's going to be, until you end up having to connect with it and use it, you may not even know that it's active. You know, it's one of those things like, oh, hey, look at that. I didn't know I had a new mixer, you know, that kind of thing. There it is. I was sitting on the counter. So you're going to have, boy, some pretty wonderful things that have been, with this expansion of your being and the activation and the crystallizing of your connection with it and start working on it with it at both the conscious and non-conscious level. It's, well, you're just going to say it appears to me this is what you've been asking for, and this is indeed what is happening. Yes. So that's, any questions? If not, I'm going to move on to the next person. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's move to Paula. How are you, Paula? And what's happening with you? What's new?
Well, thank you, everyone. And Lisa, that's funny because the minute you were done, I knew Jeff was going to call me. It's like you have that inkling. It's all good. Doing really well. Happy to see everyone on here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, I'm starting kind of a new avenue for me, trying to be better connected with my guidance. I hear it nicely, but I'm not really making good use of them by actually speaking with them, or, you know, actually sitting down and having the conversations and getting to know them better and their signatures. And just anything, if you have anything from Inda is my new guide that I'm working specifically with.
Ooh, okay.
Yep, she's here.
Yeah. Yep.
Just if you have any little something, and then I'll be happy to hear everybody else.
Okay, well, I'm more than a little something. I sensed before as you were on that there was something new, but I wasn't sure what the new is. And I always like to hear people talk about it because, you know, when I tune into it, how I would describe it isn't exactly, you know, the reality of how the situation is. But yeah, you're seeking to have, I say, better connectedness with your guides. And that looks like indeed the process that has started. And it's starting in a way that best serves you. And that they want you to know that. Things could be made to go faster. Let me say it in that terms. But it wouldn't be helpful for you because you need to kind of make a new connection, sync up in a new way, learn how to use it, and then sync up a little bit more and expand that and grow it, and then move it into different avenues from audio to video to, you know, to intuition, all the different essence, you know, the clairessence, clairvoyance, clair audience, and all the rest of it. And I clair osmosis as well was what Deborah does, but that's what's happening, and it's going to continue. What do you know about her? Because I can tell you quite a bit about her.
Actually, very little. Those will be some of the questions I will ask her. I'm going to say I would love to find out more about her, but I'm going to use those as questions that I can get to know her better. And then I'd love to have your input farther down the road.
Okay. And it's funny you said that because she just, as you were talking, she said, no, I would prefer that you get to know each other. So you're right on track. You're doing just fine. That's exactly what it should be. Absolutely. So yeah, she's pretty awesome. I would tell you that. And
That's
she's a whole lot more than you know.
yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean? Yeah. She's got lots and lots of, oh, I don't know, just the essence of her being and the level of experience and her ability to, I think, communicate and interact with you is going to be a real catalyst for you to grow with the others as well. Okay,
thank
and that's
you.
all she wants me to say, so I'm going to be quiet now.
Thank you. That's really resonated, and I could truly just feel her love emanating from her for this process that we're going to do together. So, thank you.
You're welcome. And she's been waiting. She told me one thing she said is okay for me to tell you. She's been waiting a long time for this. She's been and our guides do. They sit, they sit in the wings waiting for us. Like, come on, can you get done with these 3 or 4 things so I can start working with you? And she's been really. I find it. This is my word, kind of. It's kind of theirs too, but I'm going to just say it's me. I find it kind of an enchanting relationships that you'll be able to have with her. Enchanting in a very positive. I don't mean childlike enchanting. I mean, yeah, spiritual enchanting. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Wow. I'm always tempted to ask Pat, but I always know she likes to go last, so that's what we'll do. And we're going to move on to Jessica. Hello, Jessica. How are you?
Okay, hi.
So, love to hear what's happened since we last talked. What's happening in your life?
Oh, all right. So we finally closed our office and got everything moved out, and I'm setting up a little home office and all that stuff. But so trying to get things done this week was just like so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to sign up for unemployment, and I couldn't get the picture thing to work. It just blurred out my face, and trying to get health insurance stuff, and I couldn't get the papers saying we're closed. I'm like, I'm not sure why it's been so difficult when I think it should be like easy.
Well, I do. If you want to know what that answer, it's because you're still holding on to the other job emotionally.
Oh Lord.
It's no, it's not an uncommon. It's not. It's just an observation. Just an observation of what's happening. And now that you're aware of it, you can help let go of it. And I have some
Okay.
things from your guides in high self that came in about 6 hours ago. I guess they knew you were going to be on the call, and I'll share.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, please continue before we pass that on.
Well, that's kind of it. I haven't had time to do a whole lot because I've been running around chasing my tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whatever you got for me would be great to hear.
Well, it's going to be tied into what we shared here, and then others shared as well for you last month, and maybe the month before, but I think mainly that last month. And one of the things your guide said today, they said they really, part of letting go, just and it's easier said than done, but just know that there's other things waiting for you, and to let this go, because until you do, that space is being filled up with the old job that doesn't exist anymore. And that space needs to be cleared so there's room for the new one. And they really want you to be, I had it earlier and I should have written it down. I know these things. When I get the word, it kind of fleets away fairly quickly if I don't write it down. But let's just say, more than just move out of your comfort zone, go and do something different, but that's fuzzy talking here. Be your spontaneous self, move into that spontaneous self, and you definitely have one. I don't know how much you know it's there, but she's really there, and she's waiting to escape and really be out there in a happy, professional, but calm manner, but spontaneous, uplifting, bubbly, as you're going out and doing these things, knowing that you know how it is when you do 10 job interviews, maybe one or two of them pan out to, when you send out 10 feelers, two should end up to be, maybe actual interviews. But being spontaneous but I'm going to use, this is my words, bubbly, the bubbly self, but a positive. So when people think, oh, Jessica is going to be a real uplifting part of our environment, and you got to do that in a way that you can communicate your competence at the same time your upliftment. In that they really want you to move out into that space. And I'm not explaining it as well as I had earlier. I wish, and again, I know better than not to write it down, but I did. I was on the road today, so I should have written it down as soon as I stopped. But I had the exact words, but that's just the essence of it. And your high self is really a proponent of that. She really sees you being able to do that. And she says, I would say communicates is more accurate. She's communicating to me that threads, or those threads added to any, sending out your resume, calling and talking and doing, preliminary interviews and just going out and meeting with people, that those threads of spontaneity and your true, that really light, bright part of yourself that sometimes gets shrouded a bit, it looks like. Just let people see that, and the right jobs will come up. And and again, as we talked about before, and I think others did as well here, that it could be something much different than you expect, but yet perfect for you.
Okay.
That's what she said. And it was, that was your high self. And your guides all 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 guides that I see that were with her when they were communicating with me. And they all are they're on the same perspective. They really see that is the spontaneity is, I want to overuse a cliche, but kind of the vehicle of moving forward for you in this, and just have to keep it up and just move in that. And as you do, not only is it going to help you in the job search, but it's going to help clear out some things that are ready to be cleared out in your being. We've talked about that before. There's things waiting, and there's a bunch of it's gone. But there's a whole lot more that's ready to leave, and these energies will help make them disappear. And they're kind of like anchors for you. Like ship's anchors are keeping you held in one spot, and you don't want that. So you can let the ballast go, and this will help you. So
are these more things I'm going to find like in person than actually just sitting online all the time?
What they showed me, and this is what I get a lot of things. I get them in multifaceted ways. They use whichever means which they feel is the best way to communicate. What I was shown, and what I was shown just again 30 seconds ago, was you're doing some online. That leads to possible that, some of them will lead to phone calls, some may lead to directly into, hey, let's have an interview. Or as you're out and about and you might run into an opportunity that just you happen to see while you're out in your daily errands, and you pursue that and you meet with it. But any interaction with them, written, verbal, or in person, is to be your spontaneous self. And what they really are encouraging you to do, and this kind of becomes the elements that make, these are the things that make us driven to do them. These are the things, it's like, I don't want to use a fork, but in order to eat my food, I have to have a fork. And this is the tool that's going to be able to help you have far more positive impact in your interviews. But it's also part of, and I didn't realize it before last month, that this is part of your, I'm going to say, one of the parts of your, it's a big one, of your phase of new growth. We talked about how things were waiting for you to come and what coming in, this is it. And it has to do with being operating from that spontaneous part of you, which connects very directly to your high self and the divine. The joy of heaven, those kinds of things, that kind of energetic connection when people come back and who have a powerful meditation, or people who have near-death experiences come back and they're not the same. you have this connection within your being of this bright light, spontaneous, dynamic part of yourself, which is again has been veiled, and it's just waiting to get out.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a cloak over my head for a long time.
I'm sorry, can you say it again? I lost it a little bit on there
I,
on
I
mine.
said I feel like I have had a cloak over my head for a long time.
Yeah, and it's been part of old patterns, and we have them in a time at various times in the past, and even into this life, they served a purpose. But the problem with low self is it keeps wanting to. It's like, do you know the story of a dragon? And Joseph Campbell talked about this. What do dragons do? They guard. They get the piles of gold. They protect it, and they collect virgins. Neither one which they can make use of. Okay. Can't use the gold, and they can't. They're a dragon. They can't have any kind of relationship with this woman here. And the low self, because it's a creature of pattern. I say of the status quo. It wants to hold on to these things because these were tools of the past, at the expense of the opportunities of the present, and that's what you have before you. That's what your high self is saying, and you already have this. This is part of you. You're already there. And you'll grow into it, but you've already got a big. It was a long time ago. It was part of you that before it got shut down. Now we're to a point where it's ready to be to bloom again.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank
any
you.
other questions?
Um, I had a question. I was working with this functional doctor guy, and I've had a reading with somebody else, and she kind of was saying like, I think you're done with him type thing. But do you have a take on that?
Here's my observation with him. You have some utility in the interactions with him. Okay, some insight, some things happen, but it is not one of the things. He's using classical. Well, at least he may not be aware, but he's using some of the classical techniques that operate through ego. Even if he
Mhm.
doesn't really know it, I think he does. Well, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter either way. That's what's happening, and that happens is that you just keep going around in circles. You make some progress. Things happen. I mean, it's not like nothing happens because it depends where we are. But where you are in your spiritual growth, it doesn't look like the ball is being moved forward very much. So I'm going to leave it at that and let you see what your intuition tells you. But what your high self said, I'm going to translate this. Seek to be open to to finding someone new, to discovering someone new. If that's just be open to that and see who shows up. Someone mentions someone, or you find out about it, and then you can do a little research and see if that's something you want to do. But again, he has the best of intentions to help you, but it doesn't look like the events in your life are being moved forward into new unfoldment of things that you're seeking.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Marci, hello there. How are you? Are you still there, Marci? Okay, Marci may have walked away from her phone. Okay, well, we're waiting for Marci. Let's talk to Franny. Franny, hello there. How are you, and what's new?
Hi. Um, I'm not sure I can hold the video, so I think I'm going to turn it off in just a minute. I'm on my phone instead of my computer. Yeah, it's good, really good to see everybody tonight.
Mhm.
I've got a couple of questions. One is a little bit larger, and one is just short. So The first one is that a few weeks ago, an old friend from down in the Thompson Falls Trout Creek area where I used to live, I lived there for 23 years, and a couple of old friends were driving back from Missoula, and they were in a pretty horrific head-on collision.
Mm-hmm.
Sue died shortly after the accident, and Glenn was life flighted to Missoula. And so Glenn spent several weeks, 3 weeks in Missoula, and then 1 week at a lower level of care, rehabbing, starting to walk again, that kind of thing. So his injuries were significant. And it's just been a lot to process. So I've been to see Glenn twice, once in Missoula, once in Plains, and now he's home. And I'd like to go again. He's got a long recovery ahead of him. It's the whole thing has caused a big wobble for me. I'm really sad, and the enormity of it is really pretty overwhelming at times. Just the idea of feeling vulnerable, that things can change in the blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm sad that Sue isn't here anymore. I've visited with one of their sons and had a really good connection with him, and would like to continue that. And I also feel really sad for Glenn. He was driving, and even though, it's hard to know in these situations, but it seems like he wasn't at fault. It seems like the tractor trailer was pulling out and blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
But initially he was definitely shouldering that he was taking that on, that it was his fault. So I want to just my intention is to be a good friend, to go to the memorial service, and also to balance out, like, traveling down is about a 3.5 hour drive for me.
Mm-hmm.
And with winter weather and the cold and everything, I want to be sure that I'm still able to do what I need to do. So I guess I wanted to put that situation out there first, and I wanted to ask, what are the lessons for me through this? And if you could say, what are the challenges? What are the lessons? And what is my growing edge in all of this?
Okay. When you first started talking about it, the answer to your question came through for everyone there. And these situations in life, at this level, are very tragic, and they affect so many people, kids, spouses, and everything. And I'm going to say the universe, because that looks like where it's coming from. The universe wants you to know, and it's not just for you to know, and probably not to be shared. I'm not sure anyone would be ready for quite some time if the year of open it would be ready at all. Excuse me. Is that they chose this before they came, all
Right.
those involved.
Right.
And this was part of things that had to happen. They chose to have them happen in this way for each person's growth. Excuse me. I apologize. I'm a little dehydrated, and I start coughing when I get dehydrated. And that's true for those who passed. For him, you said it's going to be a long recovery. That's true. Sometimes these kinds of events happen because what it does is it causes all the old patterns that we had, excuse me, in life to be shattered. That's the word I saw. That's the word they showed me, the word shattered. And that's a very traumatic thing here. But what it allows is, as he moves on and makes a decision, is he staying and going or that sort of thing. It looks like he's looking to stay. Okay. Is a whole new way of being, and to have to be open up to new possibilities, and it's going to be a real struggle. It's going to be challenging. There's going to be lots of down days, a few up days, and it'll get, kind of a slow trajectory up. But this is something that he's been ready for, and it looks like it's going to happen in some, it's really happening kind of in a global way in his life. I mean, this affects everything, and that is what he chose, and that it's what he had in his life. I don't know that it was his fault on the thing, but when we come here, and because they agreed to it, I don't even know if that's an important factor. It might be for the conscious mind, we want to know, but reality is this is a way that he chose to have this happen. There's another event that could have happened, and it would have been as traumatic as this one, and a little more gruesome. So he chose this one, and this seems to be the higher path for him to learn this, and all parties involved. So that's the reasons behind it. Why people choose this, I tie back to the book Illusions. We've all read the book Richard Bach's Illusions. Have you read it? Yeah, I'm sure you have. I can't imagine you haven't.
I don't remember. I read the first one, but I don't know about that.
That was it. Not Jonathan. It was post Jonathan Livingston Seagull. But in any case, one of the things they went to a movie. Donald Shimoda, this was the guru in that time, the avatar, brought him to a movie, and they watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and he was really getting into the movie because it's a classic movie. People who like westerns, and Donald Shimoda kept interrupting. It's like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Look at what they're doing. Look what's happening here. And basically, after their conversation afterward was a reminder. He says, some people choose happy lives. Some people choose to watch horror films, and some people choose all these different things. It's because that's what they believe they must do, or that's how they think it has to be, or that's the mode of learning they've chosen, because when they were up there, that seemed, although it looks tragic here, that is the best way for them to learn. And this is what he's chosen, and the way he's chosen it. So although it looks very traumatic on our end, and why did it have to happen this way, this is what they've done. And it's going to really dramatically and traumatically leap people into new parts of ways of living, and new connections, and whole and self reevaluations. All kinds of things are going to happen because of this. And for him, it's going to move him into a new plateau of his being that's been awaiting for him as he gets through the recovery. And I'm presuming that he continues his decision to stay here at all the different levels. If he does, it's going to force him into new things, and seeing new things, new connections, new ways of living, new ways of thinking, new perspectives on life that have just been awaiting for him to find. And yes, it's going to have, again, lots of down days, a few up days, a slow upward trajectory, but it looks like that is awaiting him. And a few years from now, a couple of years, it's hard to see on the timeline, depends on how he processes things himself. There's some real joy and upliftment for him in life as he discovers new things. But where it's at right now, it's just good. Your being there is such a brilliant light upon everyone. So if you can be there safely, it would be good for you to be there. Your light, you will be a vehicle and vessel of light for everyone there. Different channels will come through you for them as well, and that'll help facilitate their own connections. And just do as you're guided, which you're very good at doing. You're intuitive in the moment to know what to say, and sometimes knowing that there's nothing to say. You're good at both. You're exceptionally gifted at that. Of course, that's your job. So that's what I can tell you right now. And they wanted me to keep my explanation there and no more details than that. That's where they want it.
Okay.
All involved. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Like I really felt like, especially on that first visit when he was still kind of in shock, like it was probably about a week after the accident. And he'd had one surgery, but still had two more that were upcoming. Had a broken femur, and I think they did that surgery right away, but he had several others. upcoming. So it was still pretty fresh and pretty raw. And I really had the sense that um, that he and Sue had an agreement that, this was her time to go
Mm-hmm.
and that he would stay and that this would be the biggest spiritual challenge of his life, essentially,
Yes.
to go on without her and um, to find a way through all of that, through the muck and mire, you might say. Um, is there anything about his son that you can share? Like, I'd really like to. His son has been here. I think this is his 4th week now, and he just got an extension so he can stay longer. I'm really feeling a need to connect with his older son again. So if there's anything you can say about that,
I guess
that would be good.
2 things. One, the wife, you are absolutely correct. That is an agreement. She said that I want you to know from the divine's point of view and the universe's as well, she was a gift unto his life. And
Say that again. She was what?
She was a gift unto his life.
Yeah.
Unto is the exact words. That's exactly what they just said. And he was for her too. And it was time for her to go. She had finished what she had come to do. She had some learning that she had done, but being there in this capacity, and there's more of them that I don't know about, and she doesn't want to share, and I'm fine with that. But that's exactly it. It was it was hers. This wasn't some accident. This wasn't random. This was absolutely what was chosen. What I get for the son, and this is really important, and I think you are already widely open to do this, is just be there, be open, and interact in the moment, because he's going to shift around. You know how what happens emotionally after these kinds of events. You got the 5 stages of forming, norming, storming, all that. Yes, normative, formative, development, and all that. And mourning is the last one. And he doesn't know why it's happened. He feels he's going to have it. Why this to me? Why am I? Blah blah blah. What I'm being shown is you are the instrument and the vessel, the vehicle, to be there in the moment to help him process things and start sorting the chat. It's just all on the ground right now. Everything's all the pieces and parts of his life everywhere. It's a mess, and you're going to help him. Be there in the moment to answer his questions. Be there for him. Share guidance that comes through you to share, and obviously not share what you're not to share. And they want to make that really important. That's his high self, boy, and the divine, and in the divine too. If you get the message that, boy, I'm not sure I should share this, don't share it. That's right from them. You might kind of feel like he might be ready, but if you're getting any kind of a hesitation on it, don't. But just be there in that capacity, and for however long you can, and he'll end up calling you later, by the way, I think, is what's going to happen. You're going to have conversations, probably internet and phone and whatever else you can. That's one of the things that will be instrumental for him in his interactions with you.
Okay.
And you're really up to I can tell you, they're already pre-priming you for this. It's already queued up in your hopper of energetic stuff waiting for that event to happen. It's already there, so because your higher being can sort it out, and you can be there in the moment. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Franny?
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
When you very first started talking, my heart's been so heated up and wide open.
Mm-hmm.
This whole experience is just such a heart opening. And I don't know exactly who it's for, but that's how I'm feeling it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is indeed. It is. Thank you, Marci.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have anything to share, or any thoughts? Lisa?
Yeah. I've seen this quite a few times where there's a couple partnership that's been there for quite a while, and then one passes away. And what I've seen with that is that the reason for that is so that they've made this contract so that the one that stays here gets this opportunity to spiritually grow. And they wouldn't grow if they were as long as that other person was still with them.
Yep.
And so the other person agrees before they come that, hey, we're going to be together for a little while, but then I'm going to leave and I'm going to assist you on the other side so that you can actually grow this lifetime. And so that's what I see for him. And I see her on the other side once she's kind of went through the process she needs to, but she's there to assist him. And I could really see like his whole being kind of getting broken apart, and like these structures that have been so stagnant and rigid, those got blown apart so that there's more
Yeah.
fluidity in his whole beingness. And like Jeff was saying, so that he can start to see things in a different way. And the other part that happens is when we have these accidents, and it could be like a small one or it can be something very large like this, it allows our divinity to come in.
Yes. Yeah.
And this was something I was explaining to Pat the other day because she had fallen down. And what happens is we step out of the body and it allows more of that divinity to come in and to be a part of our lives. So obviously he's got a lot of emotional things and physical things, and it's going to be a big recovery. But at some point this stuff will start to activate. He'll start to be more aware of it. And for you, Franny, I just see that there's no lesson for you. You're just here to facilitate and to be in total compassion for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. Boy, that's well said. Boy.
That was a great explanation, Lisa. And I'm already aware, like in my very first visit with him, there are a lot of rigid beliefs, and he was in the public school system for his whole career. And so good, bad, right, wrong, there's pretty sharp lines there. And one of the things we talked about in the hospital was this idea that he's on the receiving end now, and he's very uncomfortable with that. Like he's always been the one giving and doing, and now he's in a hospital bed, can't take care of himself, blah, blah, blah. And I was talking more to his son because the local, a lot of friends had rallied around and were paying for a hotel room for the boys to stay, well, boys, they're adults, to stay in Missoula so they could be close to the hospital instead of 2 hours away at the house. So, and, even the son was saying, yeah, we've got to get more comfortable with accepting all the goodness that's coming our way. But for the dad, it's even more so. It's like the universe is out of alignment if people are giving, giving, giving. So I spoke with them both then. Like I almost felt like I was doing a little bit of a download on, okay, so here's one of the things that's up of learning to receive. So let's accept this graciously, to be able to say thank you instead of saying, oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that. So I think you hit the nail on the head that it has, I like the word that you said, shattered. And it makes sense to me that it's, there are some rigid structures or thought forms that are going to be up for transformation if he is open to it. His son has 2 beautiful grandchildren, and I really think the kids are going to be part of that reinvestment in life and healing and kind of opening to new possibilities. At least that's my hope. That's my hope. I have a intuition that the kids are going to be a really, really big part of him deciding to stay.
Well, so I think you're right. I think that's true. And it looks like just it's going to take the time for him to get to that point. And, with all the caring, loving people, including yourself, being there to support him and the whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
So,
Thank you. That helps a lot. It helps a lot. It really stretches us to, you know, it just stretches us when we uh, witness something like this, and feel that loss as well. So I appreciate being able to talk about it.
did
I
you have
did
to?
have one more.
Yeah, I was going to
Oh,
ask
go
you
ahead.
the other question. Okay, go ahead.
So this is just a brief one. My company is growing pretty quickly, and the one business guy really has his sights set on a pretty steep trajectory for growth. So they've decided to hire a human resource manager, and they're hoping to have that person in place within like a month or so. And my question is just like, Jeff, you and I have talked before about um, my looking over the hill at retirement, looking over the horizon at retirement, and knowing that it's there, but just not being real sure on when I want to do that. And my question is, would it? Um, Part of me feels like it'd be better off to go ahead and talk with at least one of the owners that I want to make a plan or a pathway to retirement. Those were your words. I want to create a pathway to retirement.
Hmm.
And another part of me feels like it might be better to put that off as long as possible until I'm actually ready to take a step and go part time. And then eventually I'll go ahead and retire full time. I know that I want to stay at least partially involved because I have a niece that's a little over 2 years in college to finish up. So I'd like to probably finish out this year full time and maybe even in January or June of next year go part time. So, what can you say about timing? I've
Boy,
been
not as much.
talking with.
Yeah, not as much as I would like, but what I'm getting is that you talked about it, and I was watching the scenarios they were showing me, watching the scenarios play out. There can be some. I want to use this word isn't liability, but there's whenever you share something like that, it can put ideas in their head, and it can change how the decisions they're going to make regarding you. And especially and with the HR manager coming on board, it might be one of those things that it's better to see how that is. How that interaction is going to operate, how the dynamics of that situation are going to be as far as you go. Um, Boy, I'm going to give you a 51-49 kind of a thing here. It might be wise to wait a little while before talking about it. And then what your high self just said was then, wait maybe until like the resource managers there and the new processes are started. And, the organization is more firmly footed in moving in a coherent manner in the direction it's going, and then see what your sense is of what you should do. Because I think you're going to have greater clarity in a month or two, probably in a couple months.
Okay.
But at least a month, but a couple months, you'll have a say, oh, okay, now I know and now I see what's happening. Then you have a better sense of the dynamics between all the players, and you'll have a better insights, intuitively speaking, as well as cognitively speaking, with your beta mind, of what you should say and how you should say it, if anything, of your plans.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, you'll just know
Yeah.
more in a couple months. Yeah, that's my short answer.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
That sounds great.
yeah, thank you. I wish I had more, but it's kind of fuzzy. It's like what I heard from someone was not known yet because of the dynamics, and I mean, there's so many possibilities we can't talk about it here at this level definitively. So that's why wait. So, all right. All right. Well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing all of that. That is really, it's a good, it's a very healthy thing for us to share these things and know what's behind it. And I really appreciate all the insights shared from, Lisa and everyone here, just everyone who, as they share on all the different topics, because each of us brings through perspectives that the others they can see clearly that others do not as clearly. So I love it. So with that, Marci, are you there again?
Yes, I'm here. My button is funny. I don't know what the deal was.
Okay, that's all right. Listen, we're perfectly
Yeah.
good. You can fix the button
Good,
later.
good. Yeah, good.
So what's happening for you with you?
Well, I'm back on the mainland, and I don't know why. It's cold. It's cold and it's raining. And I was having such a good time over there, but I had like a feeling like I don't know, like I'd get too attached, or I was really having a good time. So I don't know exactly why I'm back here.
So why do you suppose that you are? What is your sense of it? Because I think you do have a sense of why you're back there.
Well, I have like bits and pieces that I tell myself that must be it. I know from what you said before that wasn't my place, that Molokai wasn't my place. Even though I was really having a good time, and I actually, there's a lady that I met that it was just the goofiest thing. We were at like a dinner gathering. I had never seen her before, and I was standing looking at all the tables, and she came up to me and said, "Where do you want to sit?" And it was the strangest thing. And so it was like I don't know how to describe it. It was like she knew that we were going to sit and visit, kind of thing. And since that, we had a little bit of connection, and I felt kind of drawn to interact with her more. So there's part of me that's like, why am I leaving? I'm having fun. The sun is shining. Things feel better here. I know that the specific place that I was staying was where I was before, and that's not my place. But it also felt like it was necessary to be there and kind of establish a new ground of where things were. I don't know. And there's a draw to come back here and make sure that these connections. So it's kind of, that's what it feels like I'm doing. It feels like I'm kind of weaving the threads for what's coming next. And, but even so, I'm looking at the calendar right now of when am I going back. It's like I might be able to stay a month, but I really want to go back.
So I'm going to echo what you just said, maybe say it slightly differently. But it looks like, you've recognized there's a connection of being over there and the energies of over there. And I'm not going to say which specific place, Molokai in that house or some other place or one of the other islands, although Big Island or Molokai, maybe Maui or something. I don't know what calls to you, other than I know Big Island and Molokai. But it's a chance for you you've been away for a while. And what happens anytime we leave, and Deborah and I see this all the time, even just trips to Kalispell from here, is we unplug. Some connections are just automatically disconnected. Something I call it. The phone lines are hung up, and then if we want to talk again, we got to start a new phone call under new circumstances. So you're going back with these connections that foster these connections to be disconnected, to go back, reconnect where you are, see what the dynamics are there, what's there for you, what's not, what your heart is calling for you to do. Look at what is there and the possibilities, and let yourself be guided. That's what you're doing. And so that's when you said you were looking at the calendar again, doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Each time I go back or, come back and forth to each place, things have changed. The people have changed. Yeah. Sometimes it's a big change. Sometimes it's just little things. But it's almost like changing timelines. It's like if you were to stay, you might not see those shifts. You might not be as open to seeing them change as fast. But when you go back and forth, it has to happen. Or
That's
it
exactly
does happen easily.
Yep, that's exactly it. You've just connected, and now you're making reconnections, and you're doing little mini ones. And what that gives you is perspectives. Different. Like photographers get 12 different angles on the same subject, so that they can really, really see what it is that they want to get. And maybe they, instead of the subject they were taking pictures of, they see the tree over there, and now that's really what got me, but I didn't know it at the time. And that's what's the dynamics, and I'm going to call them flowing unfoldment in your life is happening right now.
Okay.
And it's going to continue to be a
When you
flowing
say,
unfoldment. It's a flowing unfoldment is what you're having. That is from, you know who it's from. You may not know this.
it's
The
from
Hawaiian
me.
Hawaiian goddess.
That's
That's who
Pele.
Yeah, that's who just said it.
Yeah, it's so funny too because it's like Molokai is easy. It's really easy.
Yeah.
But there's not a piece of land for me there right now.
Nor is there
Big Island is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nor what was that?
Well, I was just going to segue in there. And what they just told me, and I wanted you to know, there's no place for you there, and there's not the growth environment.
There's not the
that you need now, not what you may have needed before, but what you need now, there now.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing, and it's like I know there's no guarantee. And what I'm looking at with the Big Island, I know what it is. It's fear.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, I know it's fear, but then when I think about saying it like to you guys right now, it's like, oh, I feel ashamed to say that I'm afraid. And then, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it doesn't have to.
But no, but that's there. There's like shame and guilt of feeling fear.
Well, there's no reason to feel shame or guilt. I mean, you should be open to the love that's being shown, that's flowing into you right now from above, from your high self, your guides, the divine, and from others. It's just to show you that that's what's holding you back. It's just an awareness thing. It's kind of like saying, hey, there's a pebble on the ground and it hurts my foot. Okay, let's step somewhere else or remove the pebble. It's just for you to be aware that it's there, and in acknowledging that, to say, yeah, because there's going to be challenges. That's what the fear is. The low self always only sees things in little bitty boxes. The subconscious wants to keep, it knows the old patterns, and it likes to maintain the old patterns. And it knows that if you move there, this flowing unfoldment that just came through from Pele is going to allow those boxes are going to get kind of busted up and replaced with new things and new possibilities and new ways of belief. And so it's just the low self and giving you guilt trips, that's all. So no need to feel guilty at all. You just feel the joy and love of knowing that there will be challenges, because it's going to be a flowing unfoldment. But there are so many directions that things can go for you in many positive ways. It'll be a matter of encountering them and figuring out what you want to do. And there's going to come a point where I think but they don't want me to talk too much about it, but there's going to come where the unfoldment allows you to choose, if you so desire, a stable situation where you can really have a positive and I say happy and joyful life for the most part. Everyone has stuff to come up, but it'll be a place where you really feel comfortable, where it fits you, and if you so choose, and I think at some point it will. That's my take on it. That's my opinion, none of theirs, not your guides. I always like to differentiate that. Jeff is stating what I perceive, is that when you do choose that, and if you choose other things, they will work out too. But your low self really wants to know, is there a place like that for you? And yes, there is, if you so choose it. And when you do, and if you do, once you're there for a while, you'll become aware of the reasons why all this unfoldment and all the travails of life happened the way they did to get you there. you'll have insights that you can't have until you got there. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
You got to have done it to understand it, and you're doing it, and it looks like all your higher guidance, as well as the universe, all of them basically, for the most part, this flowing unfoldment is what you're to do. Follow your intuition. At the same time, remain grounded and employ the practical portions when you need to, and you've been doing that. So just keep doing that. You're doing fine.
Yeah. When I'm in a good vibration, that's all really clear to me. It's just when it does the dip, when it does the dip.
Good way of putting it, the dip.
Good, okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good visuals on that. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. For the most part, things are good. A lot of expansion at night, different kinds of consciousness at night, like expanded, things that aren't familiar, and it's positive, and so it's encouraging, because a lot of times we'll see this stuff at night and then it comes into the daytime.
Yeah, and I'm going to share with something that you already know. I'm pretty certain you know it consciously. Is that a lot of that stuff coming in and queuing up? I call it queuing up because I see it like software programs just getting ready to install when we're ready. It'll be our life program, the unfoldment of living life. You got a bunch of that coming in as you're growing and expanding, and it's really the kind of the software you need, kind of unique to you, because you're I'm a flowing person. I'm going to call it that way, just the way you do things. You don't live your life like some people live their life in a very rigid manner, and they must do this, and they do it for 40 years, and they never vary, and that sort of thing. And that's definitely not you. So this software, so to speak, quote unquote software, I'm going to call it, is coming in, the energies to help guide you. They're there for the period you need them, then they flow away, and then new stuff comes in, and that's going to continue to happen. Some of them smaller, some of them bigger, but it's flowing in for you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. And just so you know, your subconscious and conscious mind, and this is deliberate on your higher guidance part, they're keeping it so it's just out of the tangible range of the touch of the left brain. So the left brain can't take it, grab it, and try to put it in a box and analyze it.
Good.
And try to color it the colors it thinks it should be. It just let the color, a lot of the people that I know a few people that are like this. You are one who can flow with this, and you are doing it, and they're pleased. Just although it may seem like you don't have that sense of groundedness and connection of what you should do, just keep flowing with things and let yourself be guided and do those things, and it'll be again a flowing unfoldment for you. And that's from Paula.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, please, absolutely.
Excuse me. Marci, it's just wonderful to hear you talking and, to kind of hear your process of, okay, what's next for me? Where do I go? Where am I going to land? I wanted to share with you that I have a friend that says, if something is up, like in our awareness, then it's on its way out. And so if it's up, there's an opportunity for transformation.
Oh, right.
And I certainly think that's the case with the fear. Like, what is that about? Where is it coming from? And letting it go, facing into it like, oh, okay, I can handle that. Another piece is that with guilt, I think that guilt often means that we are tearing up, getting rid of some old belief that no longer serves us. And so we're very uncomfortable when we step outside of what that old belief is. So I don't know what that would be for you, but I would say the guilt might be a call to just explore a little bit what's underneath the guilt. And the guilt is temporary. it's so temporary. So please don't allow that to send you into like a shame cycle of any sort. To me, it's just part of the growth process, you know. And when you talk about being on the Big Island, oh my gosh, I just have this surge of uh, Pele energy. You know, it just
Yeah.
seems like you were in such alignment with her,
Yes.
with that creation energy. You know, it's the fire, it's the raw earth stuff. Anyway, I'm excited for you, and I look forward to hearing how this all unfolds for you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Franny.
Yes, thank you. I love it. Oh, that's wonderful. I love, it's great. Everybody, such insights from everyone. And thank you, Franny, again.
I can feel my heart bubbling when you talk about it. So thank you.
Yeah. And I agree with her. You have a real connection with Pele, just so you know. She has a connection with you. I'm going, boy, she doesn't
Yes,
want to say,
I know.
she doesn't want me to say any more than that. I've shared enough. That's it.
She, she's got her hands on me. There's no doubt about it.
That's an understatement. That's a true statement. So yes, very positive thing. So, wow. Okay, without further ado, the drum roll. Pat.
Very funny.
Oh, we have to do that because you never want to go first. You don't even go in the middle. You always want to be last, which is fine. You know.
And the middle is okay sometimes too, just so like,
Okay. So what's happening with Pat?
well, I think a lot of people know this, a lot of the friends on here, that
Mhm.
the past 6 months I've had on the right side of my body, I've been going through a lot of pain to the point where I've been even limping. And I have a torn, I guess what I've been told is a torn muscle on the top of my right thigh. And then right to the side and above that, I've got, like something going on with the hip. And it got better for a while. And it was getting better. And then we went to hot springs. And as Lisa said, I fell. I lost my balance and I fell. And I fell wholeheartedly on the left side, which is where the bad knee is. And so there was the big, huge bruise on my left thigh where I hit,
Mm-hmm.
and or hip rather, whatever it is. And then anyway, lots of pains like the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, blah, blah, blah. So Shirley, our friend over there, she worked on some of those things for me. Plus, we had 2 days there, so we were in and out of the hot water, but that makes things swell as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I get home and it's been really, really pretty bad until I did a special Qigong thing today. And then it went away almost for about an hour and a half. And I would say now it's kind of back. But as Paula called me and we were talking, and she reminded me that something had come in. Maybe it was on the last call I can't remember if it was just she and I, but she said there's something to release me from something old. And she said, it's like they're screaming when we don't get it. It's like they're going, hear me, hear us, hear us. And the energies do something to get our attention. And that really resonated when she said that to me. And she said, I think you should bring this up tonight and see what Jeff gets on it, because it's it has gotten, quite, and there's more of us, Deborah's going through stuff, and Susan Joy's going through big, harsh stuff. So, yeah, I would love to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I agree with Lisa when she was talking earlier. And I'm going to add some things to what you talked about. But these kinds of things can allow your connection, however you want to say it, connection with your divinity to come in more. I mean, if Lisa wants to correct how I say it, that's fine, please. But I'm seeing it. The other thing that came in as you were talking they want me to ask you, and I'm gonna define the they. It's your high self and Jesus in one of his aspects. Why do you suspect it? I know you've already said what you think it is, but what do you suspect it is in your case? Why this is happening? The injury, the hip things, the knee, the other side. I mean, it did bring allow more divinity, and I can tell you more in just a moment. But they want me to ask that.
Well, up until now, I haven't had to deal with much of this kind of thing at all. I just was stepped up, like when I was doing sessions with you,
Mm-hmm.
stepped up, and it was so awesome. Not that it stays with you inside, but um, yeah, I really don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of tie what Lisa talked about and stuff Edgar Casey talked about, and then your specific case. And I'm going to keep it hopefully simple. First, the accident I'm going to start from kind of in the middle. Sometimes when we have accidents, in fact, I can say this happens every time, but sometimes the thing that accidents do for us is it weakens the body, and there's energetic connections at the etheric level that hold on to stuff, part of our baggage, things, beliefs, and old stuff, and old patterns, and so on and so forth, all that stuff. And it weakens it, so we have to let go of it. Like severe illnesses do this all the time. The accident that Franny talked about, that shatters everything. I mean, it totally eliminates it. Everything has to be kind of started up from the phoenix coming back in, that sort of thing. That has to do with it. And the divinity coming in is definitely true. Your frequency has been raising like all of us, and especially those on the committed spiritual path, much ahead of the crowd and ahead of the soul group. And as your frequency rises, and the image they showed me years ago, and I've talked about it numerous times, is a balloon going upward. It can only go so high in the atmosphere with the remaining ballasts that are on it. And the ballast can be thought of as old patterns. We call it emotional baggage or spiritual baggage or past life baggage, whatever you want to think of it as. But there are things that are in the lower octaves of our being and patterns that affect us now. And it's the divinity coming in is raising your frequency, accelerated that accident. It did happen when you felt like you were somewhere else, spaced out. That higher connect, that allowed that to come in. That raises your frequency even more. And it creates the situation that you're aware of. It's time to let go of those things because they tie directly to the event. Some of them tie to those, why the certain areas of the body happen, tie to those kinds of energies. But I can say, if you don't know what they are, is just say, to intend to let them go and to allow the unfoldment that will happen subsequently in your life when you do that. And in your case, and for you and John, that's likely to happen. And what I mean is sometimes as we let go of things in our life and patterns, all of a sudden, I'll make up something, we get rid of that blue car that we've had for 15 years because we love that blue car. And I'm never going to let that blue car go. But all of a sudden, a week later after we've let something go, we're ready to let go of the blue car. It's like, yeah, it's gone. I'm not even my car anymore. Excuse me. I'm dehydrated. I haven't drank my water. And that is in part what's happening with you. So I'm not sure what precipitated what, but they're all interrelated. That the accidents are a reminder of the baggage that we're holding on to, and they can tie to the parts of the body, but sometimes things happen from at least a conscious level, the way they happen. They also weakened it so that it allowed things to be released at I'm going to say the physical etheric body level, as well as the emotional, energetic bodies, causal, and so on and so forth. But letting things go. And opening yourself up. And the big part for you is patterns that you've had in the life you've lived, in the patterns we've had, and the way we think about things, and our connections with our house and our home and others, and just the whole gamut of things. And I'm not sure which ones they are for you. It is time for them to be released. And again, and this is from your high self, as well as someone else I don't know. A new guide, at least new to me, is that it's going to change. It could, in time, I don't know, the unfoldment of your life will be affected by that. That's a better way of saying it. And it can affect what, people and we've talked about this before, and I'm feeling like it's a recurring theme. It's like these things, patterns that you're holding on to are reflected in our life. It happens true of all of us. And when we let go of things, those parts of our life that they're associated with go away as well. We just say go away. We choose something else. We move on. And that's in part, a very significant part of why this happened. There's other pieces of it that I'm not aware of, but that's what's coming through right now. And it ties to a conversation we had a few months ago. And I think I was a part of a Shays Insights, or maybe it was separate. But you're approaching a period now. You're moving into this next phase, I'm going to call it. Yeah, that's the right word. The next phase of your life. And lots of new things are waiting you. And for those to come in, other things must be released so that they can take that space. And then your life will naturally unfold to reflect what this new state is. Perhaps it means you move. Perhaps it means certain people go out of your life, new people come in. And if you move, you leave one place and go to another. And I'm just using those as examples. I don't know what it means. But that's the level of stuff that we're talking about. And that's why it's happening in the traumatic and dramatic way that it is. It's a bigger, I call it, my guides using the bigger 2x4 to get my attention. First they tap me, then they hit me a little harder, and then I'm still not paying attention, or I'm not getting it. I say pay attention. I'm paying attention, but I'm just not getting it. And I said, all of a sudden something happens in such a way, it's like, okay, all right, it's time. And I think that's where you feel you are.
Yeah.
That's my sense of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what I have to share, and I hope that was coherent enough. And if anyone else has anything to share, please do.
Pat, when you started talking, the word suffering came up really strongly.
Mm.
I believe that there is a pattern around suffering that it's time to let go of. So I'll let you contemplate that.
Thank you, Lisa. Actually, that word did come up a few times this week in the sense of other people. And then I thought, maybe I think it was just today I got, you may in another lifetime have super suffered. Something like that.
Yeah, I thank you, Lisa. That I agree with that, and I can concur that you have had lifetimes of significant suffering, and you've been also party to causing suffering. Just so you know, in the past, long ago. Yeah, and it's to let all that go because it's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
This divinity is who you are. It's who we all are. But the low self knows that when you make those choices and if you could just magic wand, just release them all, your life would reflect that. And the subconscious wants to hold on to the status quo and wants to keep things as they are, in the way they are, in the way we think, in the way we consider things. And I would agree with you. You had other people talking about suffering, and what someone said, I heard a voice say, it's a mirror unto yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what they just said. So
that makes sense. Well, yeah.
So that's all I have. And thank you again, Lisa, for sharing. Does anyone else have any thoughts? Pat, do you have anything more you want to share, or any thoughts, or any questions, anything at all?
No, I think this has been very helpful, very insightful, and gives me a lot to, I don't want to say work with. You know what I mean.
I think I do. And boy, this is The only thing your high self will let me say, she said it was okay. This is my word. I like this word because it has meaning to me. It may not have as much to you. This is big stuff. This is significant stuff that you're now dealing with, and it's not that the emotion, the baggage itself is so hard to let go over a big stuff. I mean, it is significant, and it's been with you for a long time. But in letting that go, that's the easier part. Then the new stuff coming in and the unfoldment, that's where the bigger stuff happens. It's like buying the plane ticket's easy. Then all of a sudden going on the trip, that's the big part. Letting go of the stuff is buying the plane ticket. It's a little oversimplification, but anyway, that is what your low self is fearing.
Okay, and that makes sense to me, and I'll use my examples of for myself in the future of, when we decided to go to John of God. I mean, it was like we could have been fearful, but there wasn't time. There wasn't even time to be fearful. It said you got to buy the plane tickets now. And it was like the adventure of a lifetime. And it was kind of the same way with going to the Big Island that one time, because John and I aren't really travelers much. So, the adventure, like you say, was like awesome. It was worth yeah, good, good. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I have only one other thing to share. This is from the divine. The adventure you're talking about is the spiritual adventure of your true being. You're moving into that and all that comes with that. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you so much, everybody, and Jeff, especially you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I like what Lisa had to say too. That was very insightful. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow, boy, what an evening we've had here. I guess it's getting time to close because I want to get this posted out tonight. And it takes me a while to come down from the energy. I don't know about for the rest of you. I don't necessarily sleep right away. So the longer we go, the longer it takes me to go to bed. But this is just so thankful that we have all of us together and we can share as we do. And even if we say nothing, just the energy coming through each of us as instruments and vessels of the divine is that, it goes and flows to the person or persons that need it. And so we really are just, here helping each other just by being together. And so thank you. I appreciate it so much. All right. I'm just going to go around real quick. Any last thoughts? And then we'll close out for this month. And so I'm going to start with Franny. I'll start with Franny. You're in the middle. You got your volume? There it goes.
Okay. My only comment is that I'm so grateful to be in this circle and to have a place to express what I expressed tonight, to have friends that can walk with me, hear my grief, witness my journey. It's priceless. It's just priceless. So thank you to everybody. And thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you. Wow. I'm going to go to Marci next, or just so you can share, not always be last.
I just want to say thank you. I'm going to shut off because my mute's not working and I hear noise in the house. But I love you guys all so much and thank you all for everything that you bring.
Oh, thank you, and love and blessings to you from us, and especially from me. Thank you. Paula, do you have anything to share?
No, just as everyone said, big thank you. These are always so special. The energetics, the vibration, the love. So thank you all for making my Thursday night extra best.
Wow, thank you. I agree. Jessica, any last thoughts, questions, anything at all?
Oh, I just want to say it's beautiful to listen to everybody and what they have to say and all the things that everybody's going through. It's just always interesting, and I love to hear from everyone. And thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I just we'll hope to see everyone again next month, and maybe someone who can surprise us as well. It's always nice when we have a surprise visitor. Okay, Lisa, any last thoughts, questions, anything at all from you?
I just want to say thank you, everyone. It's been a beautiful evening, and the energy's been wonderful. And thank you for all your support. Just and thank you, Jeff, for continuing to have this for us. It's very special.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome. It's my privilege, my divine privilege to be able to do this for as long as we do it, for however long that lasts. All right, and last but not least, Pat, any final thoughts, questions, anything at all?
I just want to thank everybody for listening tonight, and I can feel your energies and our energies just like flowing out like golden fingers to each other. So
Ooh.
love and light.
All right, well, thank you. Well, that's it for this evening and this month. Just so much again. Thank you to everyone. Blessings to you all. Life, love, and until next time, namaste.